series of lectures. The title is today's title is Introduction to Conducting Research and Scientific Writing, because I've given the title of Introduction to Scientific Writing, but you need, before writing, you need to conduct the research. So I thought the introduction would be somewhat related to both conducting research and then scientific writing. This is just an introduction. I will talk about various things, but we will be discussing some of these in detail during the next couple of lectures. So today, this is a very brief introduction of conducting research. And I will be touching upon very, very limited aspects of scientific writing, but I will be more focusing on title selection and then doing the literature search, etc., etc. Right? And then research. Now, when it comes to research, don't ever think that it's only related to science. We do research in day-to-day work, and for the last so many millennia, people have been researching to find new things. Now, today's focus is, I've broken down the presentation into 4 parts. The first part is understanding research and the researcher. The person who is doing research is termed as the researcher. So let us begin by trying to understand what research really means and who a researcher is, right? Now, the title that I've given here is, there are 2 points, research and the researcher, right? So in the first part of this session, I'll be looking at the meaning of research, where the word comes from, and let us see the role of a person who we term as the researcher, right? This is the definition is important, because before we talk about how to conduct research or how to write about it, we must know what research really is and what it is not, right? Now, so let's take some time together to understand the purpose of research, the mindset of a researcher, how to become a better researcher, how to be curious, systematic, and try to find answers for whatever that you are thinking of while you are doing research. Now, first, we need to understand the word research. Let's look at it where it came from. Now, this research, there's a word, researcher is an old French word, which is a compounded word from R-E here, and chercher, right? It is research, right? When you translate that directly into English, search, research, right? You are looking at again, right? And the Middle French, the research meant that to go about seeking, right? To go about seeking. The literal meaning of this is very beautiful, right? Now, just look at the meaning: to investigate thoroughly, right? The meaning of research is to investigate thoroughly. And that's really what research is all about, ladies and gentlemen. So you have to understand the meaning of what you are doing, right? What is research? Now, to be very simple, of what I'm talking of here, research is about creating something new knowledge, new ideas, or some new understanding, right? Sometimes it is also about using what we already know, but in a new and a creative way. We can't always invent the wheel, right? You can't invent the wheel twice, right? We are talking of not inventions, but doing research. So the creation of new knowledge is all about research, right? New ideas, new understandings, everything put together, right? So we can also create new knowledge using what is already known, right? But you can't repeat what is what has been done by others, right? It will be duplication. But you have to look at what has been done in a new and a creative way to build someone better or to solve a problem that nobody is aware of how to do, right? So the first bullet point here, research is the creation of new knowledge and or the use of existing knowledge in a new and creative way so as to generate new concepts, methodologies, and understandings. This sentence is very compound, very succinct, and it gives the very meaning of what research is. Now, the second bullet point here, research can also involve looking at existing studies, synthesis and analysis of previous research, previous studies, right? Analyzing them, combining them in a very thoughtful way, in a systematic way, which will lead to new and creative outcomes. That's why you are doing a literature review. And then you look at what others have done to see whether there's a gap that you can fill by your research, right? The third bullet point, this definition, this idea of research fits well with the R&D, the research and development that we are always talking about, right? Here, the research means creative and careful work done in a very systematic way, a structured way. That is the process of research methodology. Sometimes some people term that as the research methodology, right? So you have to do work in a structured way, whether you are doing original work, creation of new knowledge, or you are using existing knowledge, you have to do it in a systematic way, in a structured way, which will definitely grow our knowledge, advance our knowledge, and it will give us some thoughts about how to make things, new tools, systems, ideas, and that is all about the increase of stock of knowledge. And you also can use this stock of knowledge device, new applications, new knowledge, right? It's kind of a snowballing, right? You create new knowledge, and you advance it further. You create more knowledge, and that is how the sciences will advance, right? And the final point here, every research adds to knowledge, but not every knowledge is research, right? Knowledge sometimes is intuitive, right? But research, it's not. You have to do something and then observe, interpret, and come to conclusions. So remember this idea, every research adds knowledge, but not every knowledge is research. Only when we explore something deeply and methodologically, it becomes research. That's what I refer to as a structured way, a systematic way. You have to explore something deeply with a proper method. The method has to be acceptable to you as well as to others, without which the research will not become authentic. So that is how your work would become new knowledge, right? And then just look at some others, what others have said about research. Now, Isaac Newton has once said, if I have seen further than others, it is by standing upon the shoulders of giants. He's referring to the previous knowledge, the previously accumulated knowledge, the past research that has been done. So Isaac Newton knew that he's not the person who is doing things first, but he is looking beyond what others have done by standing upon the shoulders of giants, right? That is the previous literature, the past research. And there are two quotes by Albert Einstein. The first one is the whole science is nothing more than a refinement of everyday thinking. A scientist or an engineer who does research is also a layperson when it comes to your day-to-day work, right? So you think, what you think will be part of your research, and you refine it. This refinement is very important. This refinement is the methodology that you follow in a structured way. This refinement is the key to do research. Without the refinement, the work will just be uninteresting, uneventful, unless otherwise there will be breakthroughs, groundbreaking thinking that would take place. And again, in another instance, Albert Einstein has had said if we knew what it was we were doing, it would not be called research, would it? So that is, you have to create new knowledge, or you have to contribute to new advancement of the existing knowledge. If you are doing what we already know, it will not be research, right? And Albert Yogi said research is to see what everybody else has seen and to think what nobody has thought. That is the creation of the new knowledge, your methodology, your originality of your research. So think about these things which are I think very, very interesting, right? And then now research, when it comes to research, no university, no institution will advance without research, innovation, research development and innovation. Just look at the one of the giants in the world of research, MIT. For MIT, what do they say about research in their webpage? Scientific breakthrough and technological advances. That's what they are focusing on research, right? They are the strongest institution in the world focusing on research. MIT's commitment to marrying education with creation of knowledge. See the beauty of the phraseology, marrying education with creation of knowledge. You need to know something to create new knowledge, right? You have to understand that, right? Education will give you the tools, the knowledge to create more knowledge, right? So MIT's commitment to marrying education with the creation of knowledge provides a fertile setting. This fertility comes from the foundation, the education that they provide for the host of researchers from the undergraduate until the PhD or beyond, right? And when it comes to Stanford, from Nobel Prize winners to undergraduates, all members of the Stanford community are engaged in the creation of knowledge. For them, creation of knowledge is research, right? If Stanford says that, we have to accept because they are at the forefront, right? There's no argument about what they think would differ from what others also might be thinking, right? Creation of knowledge from undergraduates to Nobel Prize winners, right? But when it comes to the MIT, they say you have to marry education with creation of knowledge. That's what research is all about. So these are some things to ponder, some things to think about, right? And then going into a little deeper, why do we do research? We do research to continue knowledge and innovation. That's what I just said. No individual, no group of researchers, no institution, no university, no country can advance without research and development, right? You need to contribute to knowledge and innovation as researchers, which means that we help to expand what is already known, or good if we can create new knowledge, new ways of thinking, doing, or solving problems. That is wonderful if you can do that. That's original research, right? So you contribute to knowledge and innovation. The second, the research helps address real-world problems, from health and environmental technology to mechanical engineering to chemistry to biology, whatever that you talk of. Research would help us address real-world problems. And research will allow us to find better solutions for the challenges that people are facing in everyday life. That is the ingenuity of humanity, right? People have done research to make life better, to make this world a better place to live for everybody, not only for humans, but also for any other plants and animals, right? So that is research is all about, right? And the third, research, it also helps, not helps, but it develops our ability, right? It won't help, but it definitely will develop our ability, or you can say ability to think critically, right? Critical thinking. Critical thinking is very important. You have to make connections of what others have done, what the already existing knowledge, which without this critical thinking, research would be just duplication, or research would just be observations. Don't ever think that you follow a method and observe certain things and you stop there. That's not research, right? You have to critically think and analyze, right? So we learn new knowledge is this critical thinking and analysis. We learn how to ask better questions. We have to learn how to analyze information. We have to analyze information very carefully and meaningfully so that it will be worth say looking at again and again by about you, your fellow researchers, and the world at large, right? And there should be something that is new to understand things, right? So you don't have to go very deep, right? You are not targeting at winning the Nobel Prize, but if you can do so, I think that's very good. But first start with one step, right? Contribute to marginally, at least marginally, to the advancement of knowledge or creation of knowledge. Then the third, personally, why we do research? For personal growth. For most of you who are here, there are about 160, no, at least 130, 40 of you might be students. You might be pursuing for higher studies, earning for your thoughts of earning a degree, undergraduate, postgraduate, or otherwise, right? Sometimes you might be looking at research and then for your promotions, right? You might be looking at doing research and results to fulfill obligations. You might your studies might or your work might be funded by funding agencies, the government or the industry. So you are under obligation to achieve results, right? And all these are for personal growth, whether for you to complete your degree or to fulfill your obligations under funding obligations. Sometimes you do research for fun. That's also for your personal growth. You have to make yourself happy in your life. And altogether, the research will help us grow as individuals, as communities, as countries, and the world at large, right? Personally as well as professionally, academically, everything put together. And also, when you do research, it enhances or it builds your skills, your confidence, and also your understanding of your field of study. And also, you might want to tell others what you have done. That's all about scientific writing. That's why you want to write about your research, so that others will also get to know what you are doing and to share what you have done, what you have found, right? So you are contributing to new knowledge. And then again, who is a researcher? We have seen that these are all from different dictionaries. The first is from the Oxford Dictionary. The research is somebody who performs research independently. The search for knowledge, or in general, any systematic investigation into established fact. Now, there are key things that you need to understand. Performs research independently. The search for knowledge. Any systematic investigation. You are not just doing things for the sake of doing them. You have to systematically approach, right? And the second is, I think, from Collins, a person with the accurate and scientific specific experience. This is what MIT is referring to, education. You need to have accurate and specific experience. Without accurate experience, you will not you will have no focus, right? And you need to have education, qualification, skills, and training to complete research in their specific field of or areas of experts. So these are all needed. Now, I gave you these two examples, and the second one especially, to make sure that you know what are the prerequisites of conducting research. You need to have some accurate and specific experience, education, qualification, skills, and training. Now, you are not allowed to do research during your first year of undergraduate studies, right? Because you need specific experience and education. But from the day that you enroll for your master's or your PhD, you have the specific experience and education and the qualifications. And also, then you need to develop your skills and training. and to complete research, right? So this is all about research. And then the third giant, the Princeton. Princeton, they say that researchers, according to the Princeton review, that's their flagship publication, they say that researchers collect, organize, analyze, and interpret information, whether it's data or ideas or opinions, right? That is very, very interesting. Collect, organize, analyze, and interpret. Now, this is the research process. You have to collect information, organize them, analyze them, and interpret them. This is the whole research process. You can't stop here. Collect, organize. You have to do analysis. But that is not enough. You have to interpret. And opinions to explore issues, solve problems, and predict trends. So this is why you are doing research, to explore issues. You do research to solve problems, or you do research to predict trends, right? So the second bullet point here, but it's now when you say the role of the researcher involves making contribution to the understanding of an issue or communicating that understanding to others. So the role of a researcher is not only to discover, but also to explain, to share knowledge in a clear and a meaningful way. Now, this communicating that understanding to others is all about scientific writing, right? Scientific writing, so in contrast to other types of writing, literary settings, even technical writing, scientific writing is a bit different. You have to write down everything so that others can understand, others can repeat what you do, others can interpret what you do, others can critique what you do, right? Technical information is not that. Technical information is you do a design project, for example. So you outline the design, right? So it's just one way. But research is not that. Research is always open-ended, right? You explore ideas, you solve problems, you predict trends, right? These are all open-ended, and you keep the door open for others to explore, right? So scientific writing is very, very different to other types of writing. That's why we wanted you to participate in this discussion and just to have discussions with us so that we can share our thoughts. Now, who is a researcher? We have already discussed about that. A researcher is someone who investigates things in a careful and organized way, right? That's what we said in the beginning, right? They look at things, or they look at what they do or facts, or try to find new conclusions by studying something deeply and systematically. This word is very important. This is very important. This is very interesting, right? You do things systematically. That's why for any research, scientific writing, you have a separate section describing the methods that you adopt, right? To record your systematic way of doing things, to prove that you have investigated the topic systematically, right? And then there's the second, who is a researcher. A researcher should have the training, experience, and qualifications so that he can explore and analyze, right? A good researcher is not just curious. He should have the right background, right? That's why we wait until the sixth, seventh, eighth semester in undergraduate studies. But that training will give you the necessary experience and qualifications to conduct research at your postgraduate level, right? So this all means that you have to be trained, experienced, and qualified to study a topic and make sense, but to others, sorry, without your background experience, others might not feel comfortable to recognize you. But there are exceptions. There are exceptions, right? Einstein published his first 4 papers at the age of 16 without any proper academic qualification, right? I don't think many scientists who lived for 300-400 years back had university degrees, but still they had the critical thinking power, right? That itself is their own training, right? They knew what they are doing, right? So the work of a researcher should include organizing data, analyzing the data and observations, understanding the meaning, and then interpret it in a meaningful way, and of course, communicating findings. Communicating findings is by way of doing presentations, doing written submissions, journal papers, conference papers, or even having discussions, colloquia or conferences, symposia, whatever the forum is, you have to communicate your findings, right? Good if you can communicate in a written form, because it will last forever. If you speak, if you do a presentation, it's just for, unless otherwise somebody records that and nobody would like to listen to a recording, right? But if you have something written and published, you can repeatedly look at what you have written, right? So that is a good forum to publish your research, right? So becoming a better researcher. I don't know, that's right. Right. Now, in the broader sense, research means to find out something that we don't know, or to find out more on what we already know. Two things, or known knowledge, unknown knowledge. In simple terms, research means trying to find something we don't know, or learning about something we already know. It is a way of exploring and understanding the world around us, right? That's what I just referred to as deep understanding and a better understanding. Those are the two things that we expect out of conducting research. You go deeper into something, you do something better, right? And the second point, by doing research, it is not only about asking questions of what or who. You have to ask, always you have to ask why, right? So to become a better researcher, we must definitely ask this question: why is it so? Why did I do it? That is the interpretation of what your methodology. And when you see something, you have to think why, right? Why something happens? Why it matters? Why it needs to be considered as something new, right? Why it needs a focus? Why it needs a interpretation, right? Why can't others understand what I do, right? That then I have to refine my methods. I have to redo the things that I have already done, right? Then the third, a good researcher, a better researcher, to become a better researcher, you have to keep learning, stay curious, question assumptions. A good researcher has all these qualities. He's always learning, right? I am a professor of 60 years of age, but my learning has not come to an end. I learn every day until I die. I will be a student of somebody. You need to stay curious. To become a better researcher, you need to stay curious. That's why you need to ask the question, why? When you were small, you ask your parents, why is that? Why is it why is it so, right? But that is the same thing that you need to ask yourself, your fellow researchers, your mentors, your supervisors, whoever you are. And also when you attend a lecture or a symposium, ask why is it so, right? So don't accept things at face value, or don't accept things that if others say something, don't accept it. Ask why, right? Then you will understand, and you will add something to your knowledge. You create your own self to become a better researcher, right? So you're asking you're the question of why. You challenge what others already know, and you are not challenging them, but you ask why to make sure that you understand it, right? So that is how you advance yourself, right? It's just not like others might have done very good work, piece of research. Doesn't mean that you are better off while others progress. You have to ask them these questions and then get to know what others have done, so that you also know what others have done, right? And the final point here, we need some guidance all the time, right? Even myself, I don't consider myself as a brilliant researcher or a very experienced researcher, because the things that I know is very little. The things that I don't know is immense, right? Uh, we all need guidance. Seek mentorship. Seek opinions of your companions, your fellow researchers. Ask those who know better than you, right? So talk to your seniors, friends, supervisors. Uh, please seek mentorship. Be open to feedback, right? It is how we grow. Be open to feedback. I repeat that again. That is how we grow, and that is how we advance ourselves, right? And then you need to have motivation to become a better researcher. Very important. You need to have motivation. Don't ever do research for the sake of doing research, right? Don't ever do research for the sake of making others happy, your supervisor, mentor, or your employer. No, you have to have some motivation, right? There are two types of motivation that drives us to do research. One is intrinsic motivation. The other is extrinsic motivation. The first one, intrinsic motivation, comes from inside us, right? The factors, the internal factors that motivate us. It's the desire to learn, to contribute to a field, and to become an expert, right? That is how you get the full satisfaction of what you are doing. You want to learn something. You want to contribute to the existing knowledge. You want to become an expert, not just because that your supervisor wants you to do, not that just your boss wanted you to do some research, not that I know that most of the university students nowadays, they come to the university because they want to make their parents happy, right? It might not make themselves motivated intrinsically. Not there are no internal factors to keep them motivated. The intrinsic motivation is very low, right? So don't ever do research because someone told you to do so. Do research for the fun of doing it, the desire to learn, contribute to a field, and becoming an expert, and contribute to to development of humanity, right? So that is how ingenuity of humanity has evolved throughout the past couple of millennia. That's why we are here. We have a lot of knowledge created during the last so many thousands of years. Then the second is the extrinsic motivation. Extrinsic motivation is a tongue twister for me. On the other hand, it comes from outside, right? Now, that is what you are doing research for a degree, right? I might work on a research project to earn a reward, probably the presidential award or the Senate Research Award at the university, right? You might do research to earn your degree, right? Or you might want to do research for the next promotion if you are working for a research company, right? Or sometimes if you are a junior lecturer, you might need to acquire or earn marks for your next promotion, right? So these are things that keeps you motivated to achieve something, right? Something from outside, right? So it's about getting something in return for your effort. But extrinsic motivation, what you get is the satisfaction, the internal satisfaction. But extrinsic motivation, you will get some tangible reward, right? Now you need, whether it's intrinsic or extrinsic, you need to keep yourself motivated. Others research might not worth doing, or it might not proceed further, right? So whatever your motivation is, some people have intrinsic motivation, some have extrinsic motivation, some have both, right? I think both is the best, right? So staying motivated is I think the only key to success in research. Not only in research, whatever do in your life, motivation is key to success, right? So there will be days when you don't feel like reading a single article or writing a simple thing, right? So when you feel like engaging research or reading papers, you have said for that day, you start thinking you should be doing something different, right? There are ups and downs always, especially when you do a postgraduate study, right? You might feel very distracted, tired, unsure if you are doing things that you are not sure of. Your supervisor will give you a hard time criticizing you in front of others, right? your motivation will drop to the lowest, right? So at these times, you will need strong motivation to keep going. During those times, remind yourself why you started, right? Keep yourself motivated. Just go back to the beginning. Why do you want to do research, right? Answer yourself, right? If you have passion, you just think about the passion that you had at the beginning of your research, right? So whether it's your passion or your goals, that motivation will help you keep going. So always keep yourself motivated. So that is the first part that I wanted to discuss with you. And the second part, how to plan your research. Ladies and gentlemen, if you need anything to clarify, please raise your hand or just type in your query or your suggestion or your comment in the chat box. I will immediately respond. Now, the second part of my presentation today is planning your research. Now, we have discussed about what research is all about and who a researcher is, how to become a better researcher. Now, let's move on to the next important stage, planning your research. Planning your research. Now, I always believe that a good plan is the foundation for success. Now, it's not only for research, right? A good plan is the foundation for success, for a successful endeavor, anything that you do, right? That is true for research as well. You need to have a very good plan. Now, the things that I talked here in this section, of course, yes, there's a question here. How can one can work as an independent researcher? I think independent researcher is either this. The word independent is for the way that you think, right? When you do research, you are always connected. For example, even though you have no physical contact with the previous researchers, you go through the previous literature, right? You go by the previous literature. You use methodologies that others have used, right? You make use of lots of information from others' research in your discussion, right? So even you work individually, there's nothing called independent research as such. You can think independently without the influence of others, but when you conduct research, uh, unfortunate, I'm not unfortunate, but in my understanding, you are not independent, right? You can work individually, but when it comes to conducting research, you have to connect with others. But the way that you think, your thinking process can be totally independent. That's I think that's very good, right? But always you have to expose yourself, right? Because you might go along one tangent and you might not do things correctly without knowing that you are not doing things correctly. So always it's, even though you consider as an independent researcher, always try to get connected with others, expose yourself, discuss with others, invite comments, and it's good if you can invite constructive criticism of what you are doing. That's how we learn. We do two things. Say we might not be successful in three things that we do. We will be successful in just one thing that we do. But the one thing that we do, in contrast to three things that we don't succeed, might take you further, right? Because now just take the case of Thomas Alva Edison. He has failed in thousands of his efforts in inventions. But we know that he has so many other successful inventions, right? The successful ideas, we proceed with them, right? So always, even though you consider yourself as an independent researcher, get connected with others and share your ideas, because you are connected with others knowingly or unknowingly. I think I answered your question, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Suresh Dheerasinghe, could you please let us know about the present context of Sri Lanka regarding a body who is handled at a national level? Yeah, I think, Suresh, shall we, now this is a long discussion that I think we will, during the course of this course, we will be discussing about this in detail, right? the national level researchers, the support that we have, the research networks that we have at national levels, the research forum, the fora that we have, and also the connections that we have. We will discuss this, Suresh, in a broader forum during.
Good morning, sir. Thank you, sir.
Right. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Thanks for that. And then moving forward. Responsibilities of researchers. I think you have to understand your responsibilities as a researcher, right? Now, the first bullet point here, you have responsibilities, your supervisor has responsibilities. You need to understand both, right? So as you begin your research, you will have a few important responsibilities as a researcher. You can be a student, or yes, you can be the mentor. There may be some others, juniors doing research with you. But for you, you have to understand your responsibilities, right? You need to manage your time. You have to stay organized, and you have to take charge of the learning process, right? Even the mentors or supervisors, they are also in the learning process. Don't ever think that your supervisor knows everything, right? So if he knows everything, there's nothing that he can do about research, right? Research is all about creating new knowledge, or you are, say, exploring further what is already been done, right? So the research is also, the supervisor is also in the learning process, right? So if you are a student, or if you are a junior researcher, please make sure that you manage your time, you stay organized, and take charge of what you are doing, right? And then the supervisors, on the other hand, they also have their role to play. They will guide you, give feedback, and also they have to stay organized. They have to manage their time, and they have to take charge of their learning process as well, right? So it's the responsibility of both. But on top of what you as a researcher has as responsibilities, a supervisor has the responsibility to guide the juniors, give feedback, and to help to move the research in the right direction. But sometimes moving in the right direction is a joint effort of both the student and the supervisor, right? So it's important for you to understand one more thing: the primary responsibility of your research is with you, right? It's very important to understand that you are in charge of your learning, right? The supervisor cannot make you learn. You have to learn by yourself. The supervisor will guide you. He will give you feedback. He will move you in the right direction, but you need to learn. Learning process is entirely up to the student or the junior researcher. Your progress definitely will depend on how well you manage your time, your work, and how you get connected with other researchers, including the supervisor. So you go beyond the supervisor, get yourself connected with others, right? Because you are in the learning process. You do research to learn something, to contribute to new knowledge. And lastly, having a good relationship with your supervisor, with your colleagues, with your peers is very important, right? That will definitely help you stay motivated, confident, and prepare. It will make you better prepared for the challenges, because research is mostly facing challenges. Research is not always smooth, right? If you sail in the calm seas, the journey is not that interesting. You need to sail in a rough sea, right? So it will be very enjoyable when you face challenges, but you have to overcome challenges. If you don't overcome challenges, you will fail. You will stop your research. But if you overcome challenges, definitely you will enjoy what you are doing, right? So the summary of what we have already spoken about: manage your learning activity, set clear expectations with your supervisor, and maintain integrity and accountability throughout. Always maintain integrity, right? Don't ever turn to malpractices, right? Malpractices, anything that you do is very detrimental to advancement of knowledge. That's not research. Always maintain integrity and accountability. If you do something, If you do something wrong, please acknowledge, because people, it's not, you will not be punishable by law if you do blunders in research. Right? Make yourself, to make yourself better, you learn from your mistakes, right? But when you are wrong, please acknowledge, right? And make your errors or mistakes, take that as constructive, and make sure that you try to become a better researcher, right? Now there are two examples here. Now on the right, now this slide has two parts, right? This gives us two important lessons, right? One on the left, one on the right. One on the left, we can see the habits and mindset of a good researcher. Don't ever think that these are the only things that a good researcher should have, but these are some examples, right? Some connections. And on the right, we see what we must do before and after the research. First, let us consider the first, right? A good scientist, good scientists, right? Now look at this diagram. Each part of the body, starting with eyes. Good scientist looks for clues, right? They observe carefully and pay attention. The head, you have to think. Good scientists monitor their own thinking when solving problems. The mouth, they ask questions. The question that we were talking about previously, why, right? You have to ask questions before doing research, during research, and after doing research. And your hands, to synthesize. Good scientists put it all together to determine what they have learned, still need to learn, and what it all means. You have to synthesize what you have observed, like what you do with your hands. The waste has a purpose to keep you straight. Good scientists don't waste time. They determine their purpose, choose a strategy, and look for solutions, right? So the waste becomes don't waste, right? And knees are connected with needs, right? That monitor the comprehension. Good scientists know what they need to understand, what they're doing, what they're trying to discover, and they know what to do when and what not to do. And on the left-hand side here, nose, you sniff out things. Good scientists have a very good nose. You know what is important, what's not important. You sniff out important information and details. And you have the heart to love, to visualize things, the solutions. And then you have the stomach. You need to be hungry to find connections between a problem. That is where you interpret your observations. Then feet, you have to stand firmly, right? You have to firmly understand the importance of text structure when doing research, right? So this is some of the qualities that a good scientist should have. And on the right-hand side, you have before and after what you do research. Before conducting research, you have to have these things. The two questions that have. Right. I think Vimal Disanak wanted to share some thoughts. When do you want to do it? At the end or now?
End is better.
Yeah, I think the Dalini, this how do we approach collaboration with research? I think that this is also connected with Suresh Dheerasingha's comment. We will discuss about research collaboration and the support that we have at a different forum. We have, I think, 9 or 10 discussion sessions. We will discuss it at that time. That's a very, very good thing to do. Vimal, I will let you share your thoughts. And now, please don't share these messages at this forum. You can do it later. Call for papers. Now there are 5 things that you do.
Professor, good morning.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you can hear me. Actually, it is a mind-blowing lecture. Actually, I passed out from University of Peradeniya. I thought of sharing a few ideas about your mind-blowing lecture. Actually, on the halfway, I passed out 2003, and I worked reputed company in Sri Lanka and Middle East as well. With that experience, and the Suresh problems also, the economic situation and the country and all. So I have thought of sharing. That point, actually, it is research is known knowledge from unknown. That is kind of, I don't know, the religious part is a vipassana kind of thing. You share that until death, the lifetime, the research evolves kind of thing. Other thing is increase.
Mr. Vimal, don't disturb the lecture now because that is going on after the lecture. Let's start the questioning and discussion. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah,
No
Mr. Vimal,
problem.
let's discuss about these things at the end. Okay.
Okay,
So
okay, sure. Thank you.
Yeah, please. Okay. Now I will continue the things that you need to do before and after. Now, first, before you have to first choose a research question that interests you, and second, think about working with others, collaboration. Third, you need to decide on the methods. Then I think these will be discussed further in the next couple of days. Then you have to check whether you need permissions to conduct research. And then finally, you plan what you want to do, right? And after doing research, now the first box in the red row is to go through the results carefully, make sure that you have no errors. Second, get feedback from others, especially mentors and your supervisors, because their advice is very valuable. The third, think about how you will present your results. This is the most important part here. Start thinking of how you would present your results. This is the scientific writing is all about. And then the fourth one here, create an outline of your research paper, right? And then the last, set targets for writing the paper and start writing based on the outline you created. So always remember, good research is not just by doing preparations and doing research, but the last 3 boxes are so important. That's why we have organized this series of lectures for you, right? You have to think about how to present your results clearly and simply. Create an outline of your research. That will make the writing process easy. And the last, set small goals. Write your paper step by step. And you publish your paper or submit your paper to some forum, right? And moving on, now again, there's another diagram here. Now this is not this SMART approach is not only for conducting research. This is equally important for doing anything in your life, right? But I will talk only about the research. You need to first do research effectively. We must follow these steps, right? We start by selecting a topic, and then we turn into a focused research question. And from that, we define our aims and objectives. And then we choose the right methodology. And finally, we produce the output, right? To make the entire process smooth, to make sure that your goals are clear, the goal is finding a topic until you have the output, right? To make sure that your goal is clear and achievable, you need to be smart. You need to be smart. You have to be really smart. S is for specific. You have to be very clear about what you want to do, right? That is very clearly you have to set your targets, right? Avoid unambiguous goals. Make sure that your goals are measurable. M is measurable, right? So your work should be measurable. You should be able to track your progress, use numbers, milestones, even time would be a measurable metric. Goals to be attainable. Make sure that your goal is realistic, not too easy, impossible. If it is too easy, there's no point in putting much effort. It's too difficult, you might you might sure to fail, but that should not happen. And then whatever that you do, your goal should match with your motivation, your purpose. In this case, your research purpose. It should be meaningful. And then last, it should be time bound. You have to set deadlines. Don't ever start any work without setting a deadline, right? You give yourself a timeline to stay on track. This is the smart way of doing things. This is true for research. This is true for anything that you do in your life, right? Smart goals will help you stay focused in whatever that you do. Move forward with confidence, especially when you do research. You will move forward with confidence because you know that your goals are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and you have set deadlines, right? So to do that, I always suggest that you have a checklist, right? What is this checklist? Now these are two different checklists. It does the same thing to make sure that you are smart, right? To make you smart, you have to have a smart goal setting and action plan, right? So having an action plan makes you double smart. You have a smart plan and you are a smart person, right? On the left-hand side, we have this smart goal, the goal worksheet. This has broken the smart 5 smart goals into actionable plan, right? So you start by now this is for research, right? You have action steps, deadline, necessary resources, potential challenges, potential support and result, right? So for each step, right, you think about your steps of your research, right? And what is the deadline? What are the necessary resources that you need? What are the challenges that you may face? What are the support that you have to overcome the challenge? What will be the result of this particular step, right? So you keep on filling this when you plan your work, right? So this is a planning worksheet. Then you know what to expect in the future. The challenges are not unexpected. The support is very well planned, and you know where you want to go. The deadline, you put your time-based deadlines here, rather than going by these 5. This is a very practical way of having a planning worksheet so that you work very smart. Another way of doing it is okay, you go by the 5 metrics: specific, attainable, relevant, and time. Then say you set your goals. Whatever the goals that you have here, you put that here. How to measure it, how to attain it, how relevant is for you, is that for your final target, and when will you be doing it, right? Now here, attainable, achievable, reasonable, you can list down all the obstacles that you will face, the expected obstacles that you have, and try to find solutions now itself so that your work will be smooth, right? Now this is a very different diagram. So far, we have been talking about what research is all about and why it is important. Now, let us take a closer look at the research processes involved. You have 2 diagrams here. Now here on the left, you have the research process in boxes. First, you have to understand the task and the goal. Then you have to identify a specific topic. I think most of you might have gone through this process to a certain extent. You have to develop a guiding question, gather more information by way of doing a literature review. You have to create, revise, and attribute, analyze information. That is, most probably some of you might be here. Some of you might be here where you are now, you have observations, results in your hand, right? Once you have that, you analyze the information, present it, write your research findings, evaluate it, apply, and that is the end of your research process, right? So again, on the right-hand side also, you have a very similar diagram, a research life cycle. You start with concept planning. Then you explore and organize ideas and sources. You collect and analyze information data, and then you write and publish the results. And you look at the impact, how your research has connected you with the rest of the researchers, the world, right? Then again, this might give you some other ideas for further research. Right? So you keep on doing research, right? So if you reach this red box here, the red circle here, you are satisfied researcher because you have completed one cycle. It will give you more motivation to move forward from another concept, another cycle, right? So supervisors or some researchers might have this going on and on, and they might be in different locations depending on the research progression. To give you the same thing in a different way, the research will all begin with choosing a topic, and then next we construct our aims and the hypotheses. Then we select the methods, collect data, and gather information that we need to carefully organize and analyze it. We look for patterns, relationships, and differences, and we draw the interpretations, right? Now, for all of these, you need to master your writing skills, right? When choosing the research topic, you have to write down why you wanted to do that research. When you do the aims and hypotheses, you have to put that in writing. What aims that you have in mind? What are the hypotheses that you are going to test? Selection of methods. What methods are you going to test? Make use of? And you have to put that into writing. Then collecting data and analyzing it and interpreting data. All these 6 steps are integral to the research methodology, the research process, and all these steps will involve certain amount of writing, right? And the first is the topic selection, right? Now we go by these 6 bullet points here. A good topic is not just about interesting, making an interesting focus on a study, but it should be meaningful. And also it has to be a doable project, right? A feasible project. The first, you have to ask one question. You have to ask questions by asking the first question: who will benefit from this topic, right? Will your research make a difference to people, communities, a particular field, to the industry, right? So if it is if you're not sure of who will benefit, just think about your topic selection, right? If you can answer this properly, then you can move forward. The second, what is the academic value of the topic? Is it something that will add to the current knowledge or fill a gap? If it is so, your topic selection is good. If there's no academic value, even to the industry, then there's no point in proceeding with that topic. Then the third, where can you find information that you need? Where can you find support? Maybe a mentor, research center, even funding. If you cannot find sufficient information, if you cannot find support to implement the research plan, there's no point in doing the research. The fourth, when will it be carried out? Is it too early or is it the right time? Is it the right time to explore the topic? Should you wait for better conditions or move to the next step? If you're not sure, please don't proceed. Then the fifth, why? Why are you interested? Why are you interested in that topic? Do you feel excited or curious about it? Or is it for the sake of your personal interest or your professional interest that you are doing it? Right? Can the topic keep you motivated? Right? So if it is no, then don't do the research. And the last one, why are you interested in that? How? How will you garner support for funds for it? Right? Can you get support? Do you have resources, financial, technical, or even human resources to carry out the research. If you don't have any, don't start the topic, right? So if your answers are negative, then you have to think about selection of the topic again, right? So you have to use these 6 questions: who, what, where, when, why, how, as a checklist to select a proper topic, right? So once you have select the topic, you need to narrow down the topic a little bit, right? So you have to conduct a background study. This is called reading about your topic and background reading. You have to look for key concepts and common keywords that are mentioned in the field. You need to explore journals, books, research papers, and websites on the topic. And this reading, right? You're conducting background reading, identify concepts, you're reading books, journal papers, and so on. This reading will also help you avoid repeating past work and knowingly or unknowingly, and you will find a research gap, a new research question to work on, and then you can, after that, you can narrow down the scope, right? And narrowing down the scope means that you are more specific, not too broad or not too vague, just focused enough to manage within your time and resources, because always time is precious, constrained, your resources are limited. So narrowing down the scope to match the resources is essential. Reading, on the other hand, is very essential. You need to know what others have done, what you are doing. You need to read to understand why you are doing it and how you are doing it and what questions that you are addressing. For all these, you need to read, right? Now, how to frame the research question? Now, once you read about your topic and narrowed it down, the next important step is to frame your research question. Now, forming this research question is very important. This is where you get the attention of the reader of what you are writing. So before you do whatever that you call research, you need to choose a proper framework or the structure for your research, and choose a proper platform to justify why you are doing it, right? You should always consider 3 things: reliability, replication, or replicability, and validity of what you are doing. Your research, now reliability, your research should give consistent results. If somebody else repeats it, they should also find similar outcomes. Reliability or repeatability. If it is not repeatable, if only you can do it, there's nothing interesting of what you are doing for others. Right? Test the methods that you develop, the methods that you repeat have to be all reliable. And then replication, you should be able to follow your whatever the method that you follow, others also should be able to follow the method and get similar results, right? Without which your methods will not be acceptable by the others, right? So that is the important, now when we do research and when we do the research work, there's a trust, mutual trust between the reader and the researcher who has done the research. We always assume that he has conducted it in a meaningful way, it's not a meaningful way, but authentic way, and he has done it the way that he has described, right? Sometimes we call this data cooking. Some people, I don't know, some people have the practice of not doing the experiments, but they have the data, right? They generate data, they cook data. After that, cook data means they interpret the data the way they want and they change the data, right? But this scientific trust should be maintained at any cost, right? And whatever that you do should have the ability to replicate, and then the validity. Others should be able to follow your method and repeat the study, and then your study should truly measure what you're supposed to do, and what you are telling others that what you have done. It should also be meaningful, and it has to be accurate, right? So once you rely on what others have said about the previous research, once you go through all the past research, you understand the topic well, consider what others have written, and clearly define your research question. And this research question will guide you for the rest of your project. So take time and make a sharp and a focused decision when it comes to the research question. Research question. Once you have chosen your topic and explored it a little bit, you have to refine your research question and try to answer some of these questions, the following questions, right? Now, finding a research question is very important for starting the research, and then to consolidate what you are doing, that you need to read a lot what others have done. You need to know what others have done in the past. You have to do a very good literature survey, read, and then understand what others have done. Right? So when you choose a topic, you need to have a clear understanding of certain things, right? What topic have you chosen and what interests you about it? Answer that first. Why does it interest you? Think about what excites you or feels meaningful. The second, can you write a working title? Now, if you know what you want to do, you should be able to write a working title at least. The first draft of your version of the title. If you are still unable to write a topic for what you are planning to do, still you are not ready, right? Read more, right? And the third, are you focusing on any methods, processes, design, practice, data, model, or theory? Now you have to be to focus, right? You can't do everything that you want to in your mind. You have to narrow down, right? Whether you are studying a method or a process or a design or a practice or data model, there can be combinations, right? Be clear about what you want to do, right? And then have you specified the location, or if you are looking at a specific location or a context, try to answer this. If your research is related to a place or a group or what specific area, define the boundaries. Make very clear boundaries about what you are planning to do. And the last, what specific part of the topic do you want to do? What aspect you want to research further? Because this will help you avoid being too broad and keep yours. I mean, you can't start with very broad topics because it will not guide you anywhere. It will not focus you anywhere, right? Because when you are running against time, you have to narrow down everything and then be focused, right? Reading more about research questions. This is a long slide here. Very briefly, I will not go into all the details here. First, your research question should be clear and easy to understand, not just for you, for your supervisor, for your colleagues, and when you write your research, for all the others who are reading your work, right? So right from the beginning, please make sure that your research question is clearly defined. Otherwise, you will stuck up at the middle of your research. When it comes to writing the research, you can do the research. You can observe. You can have results. When it comes to interpretation, then you are stuck if you don't have a proper research question. So the first thing in any kind of research process, try to define the research question, right? It should be very clear and easy to understand, right? And the second, it should be something that can develop into a proper research design, right? Which means that you should be able to collect data and relate the interpretation to your research question. And the third, a good research question connects with existing research and theory, the previous work that has been done. And it's very, very important to review the literature, which will help you to define the research question. This review of literature is not just summarizing the literature. We will have a separate session on literature review. Always try to read summarize them and find connections, right? Literature review is not a summary of literature, whatever that you have read. Once you have a review of the literature, it will help you to build your foundation, understand what you want to do, and then it will help you to put your work into a larger picture and then define the research question, right? And the next bullet point, your question should be linked. If you have a couple of questions put together, they have to be linked. If they are unrelated, it's harder to put them together at a later stage. All these difficulties will come when you are planning to write your research paper or your thesis or your whatever the written production. And then your research question should be manageable. You can't have all the questions put together, making it very complicated, because you have no time, you have no money to do that, and nobody will be interested to supervise you if you keep your research question too complicated, right? Finally, think about the timeline always, right? Make sure that the question is realistic based on your time that you have, as well as the resources that you have, right? So to summarize it, your question should be clear and manageable, be grounded in theory and literature, be answerable with your scope, be connected to an overall research argument, right? And then moving on, now once you formulate your research question based on your goals that you set to conduct your research, the next would be to define the aims of your research. Now, aims of your research is connected with your research question, right? So your intention of your research, your scope, sorry, the why you want to do research, everything is now you can put that as the aim, because the aim will paint a picture of what your project is all about, right? So in general, the aim is the intention of the research, which will paint a picture, right? The aims will describe what you hope to explore or understand in your study, right? And also the aims will emphasize the outcome of your research, what you want to achieve, what you plan to achieve through your research. And then the aims also will reflect the long-term impact of your contribution. And according to your intuitive, your perception, your thinking, what are you planning to contribute to the rest of the world, the already known knowledge base, right? So once your aims, the next step is to set the objectives. I don't give you examples here because it's too broad to give questions. Now, once you have the aims, you have then you have to set the objectives, right? Now, the objectives are more specific than the aims. Usually, the project will have one or maximum two aims, not more than that. Most of the projects will have just one aim, but the objectives will support the aims in a way that it will connect with what you do to the rest of the world. Don't put it stuck. Okay. Now, what are we talking about? The objectives. Now, objectives, they are in fact subsidiary to aims. They are the second part of the aims, which means that they are smaller steps that help you to achieve the aim, right? Now, objectives. Now scientific writing. Now, the next step is for you to start writing your objectives. These objectives should be very specific actions or tasks needed to achieve your aims, right? And the second bullet point here, objectives show how the aims will be actually accompanied in practical terms, right? How they are accomplished, right? And then the objectives must be highly focused, and they have to be feasible, something that can realistically be done within the scope of your project, the budget that you have, the support that you have, the time that you have, right? So don't ever set objectives that that would not match your SMART objectives that we have defined before, right? Then the next, you have to first look at the immediate project outcomes, right? Because if you have a couple of objectives and if you can at least achieve some of the objectives early, it will give you more motivation. Good objectives should always have immediate project outcomes, short-term goals, aims, and it will motivate you to achieve further, right? And the next, they must make accurate use of concepts, right? Because otherwise, this accuracy is very important for any scientific research. And the one before the last bullet, objectives must be sensible and precisely described. Now, the objectives have to be very clearly worded and sensible, right? Sometimes some people write objectives. Nobody can understand. Even the person who writes the objectives will not understand what it means. Always put objectives in very simple format, simple writing, very clearly worded, right? Don't make it vague. Don't make it overly ambitious as well, because overly ambitious objectives will bring laughter to the audience, right? They will say, okay, now how can you do that in 2 years' time? And that is the end of your research. Nobody will be interested, right? So in summary, what I wanted to say is the next step is when you're in your scientific writing, you have to write down your objectives. Now you have to first set the aims, and the aims will tell us where you want to go, and the objectives will tell you how to get get there step by step. So you set the aims. Aim will define where you want to go, and the objectives will tell you or will tell others how you are planning to get there step by step, right? So that's why you need to have 3, 4 objectives, but don't have more than 5 objectives. I've seen in certain research you have about 8, 10 objectives. Don't go to that many. Maybe 3 objectives would be good, 5 would be maximum, not beyond that, right? So to summarize what we have already been discussed, objectives, you have to be concise and brief. They have to be interrelated. If you have 2, 3 objectives, they have to be realistic in terms of what can be done in the project. And the objectives will give you and your supervisor or your whoever the collaborators with an indicators of how you intend to do. And also the objectives are connected with the timeline, and it will help you to measure the progress, right? So you have once you have the aims set, once you identify the research gap, set the research question, then set the aim, write down the objectives. But still, if you are not able to write the title, then you are still lacking something, right? So by this time you have to now you should be ready with the exact title of your research, because you know what you are doing, right? You have say identified the research gap, identified the research question, defined the aims, right? You have written down the objectives. Now it is time for you to look at crafting a good title for your research. It has to be a clear, precise description of what you are planning to do, right? Now, the best time to decide on the final title is to wait until you define your objectives. Now, your title has to cover the objectives that you have set, right? So this is the point where you will have a meaningful title described, right? So you have to start with the most important words in the title, right? So at the beginning, don't misuse words. Don't start titles with an investigation of a study on. Research is always an investigation. The research is always a study. Start with the most important keywords at the beginning, right? Always avoid ambiguous and confusing words. Don't ever use acronyms unless otherwise they are standard, right? If your title is long, consider breaking that down into a subtitle, right? Having a subtitle sometimes will always help the readers, and always find some keywords that will help the researchers to find your work, right? In summary, your title should strike a balance between what you want to do to become informative, specific, and also easy to understand. Don't make the readers keep pondering of what you meant by the title, right? And then once you have all these ready, starting from the literature review, you find the research gap, you identify the research question, put down your aims, objectives, and you have a title, and you are ready to write the proposal. Now this is the time that you need to write the proposal, right? First, you need to clarify the topic, because now you have the background. You know the research question, the gap, you know the aims. Now try to do a brief review of the literature, write down the introduction for your proposal, and then describe the research methods, because you know what your aim is, and you have objectives, and you need to know how to achieve objectives. How to achieve objectives, that is described by the methods, right? By the methods. What data that you will collect, how will you analyze it? This section of the project, the proposal should demonstrate that your approach is practical and aligned with your objectives, right? Without the objectives, you will not be able to describe the research methods, right? Finally, in a research proposal, now because now you have done a review of literature, at least partially, you know what to expect as outcomes. What do you hope to discover, prove, or develop? Now, without that postulation, without that prediction, don't ever start a research. You need to have a hypothesis built right from the beginning. Even though you don't explicitly state that in your proposal, you have to have something in your head. What I'm going to achieve, right? When you draft your proposal, when you write down your aims and objectives, you need to know where I should end at, right? So what I'm planning to discover, what I'm then prove, and how am I planning to finish my research? So this will help you to define the boundaries, and also it will help the readers of the proposal to understand what to expect from your potential research, right? So in summary, a clear proposal will build the foundation for a successful research journey. This is very important. Having a clear and a solid, very strong research proposal is the solid foundation that you put for a good research. And then the third part that we are moving on to is the literature review. Now I have not mentioned this. The literature review has to start even before you commence the research, right? So I have been talking about literature review all the time, right? The previous slide also, I have been talking about the literature review. When I was talking now here also, the research method, literature review, now the title, I have been talking about literature review many times before. Now here also the research methods, formulating the research question, you need the research review to be done. So research review is something that you need to start at the very beginning. Even before the conceiving the research ideas, you have to keep on reading, right? But now I will talk about a little bit about the literature review and how you have to do a literature review. Now we will go into details of this topic in a future day, but today I need to discuss certain things that came to my mind. Because a good literature review will always help you to understand what is already being studied. It will give you an understanding of what the research gaps are, and also it will tell you, it will induce you ideas of how to develop a research proposal, right? Now let us look at a closer look at how we can approach the literature review very briefly. Now, first, you need to select the right research method is very crucial, right? There are questions that you need to answer, right? First, you need to find out how you are going to do the research, right? Then, is there more than one way of finding out what you need? What methods have other people used in similar situations? What are the strengths and limitations of the methods you are considering? How do these limitations influence what you can find out and what you can conclude from the research results? All these things will be you will be able to find all these things only by a good literature review, right? So there cannot be any limitations when you start your research. The limitations can impact your move in the future, right? So whenever you want to find out something, you need to do a literature review, sorry, literature search, right? Now, literature search is finding literature, but interpreting what you find is the literature review, right? Now, whenever you want to find the originality of what you want to do, you have to do a literature review. You first do the literature search, read, and you have to find out whether there's an originality of what you are doing. And you are not originality is not always reinventing the wheel, right? So now you have to very understand that now this discoveries and inventions and groundbreaking research is very rare, right? All we do, 99.9% of the researchers do research. They do original things, but the originality that we talk of when Nobel Prize winners are doing research are something different, right? We don't have to think that way. Don't get ever demotivated assuming that your work is not original, right? So originality, you have to understand, originality means to ensure that you are not simply repeating what others are doing, right? Don't ever repeat what others are doing. Do something on according to your work plan, right? Originality definitely will mean that ensure that your work, if you're not repeating what others are doing, if you're not duplicating the work, right? Look at the things in a fresh perspective, a new angle of an existing problem. That will give you some originality of doing things, right? Now, the third bullet point here, producing an original piece of work simply means moving an idea forward by incremental amount of work for the next generation. This is very important to understand. In most cases, whatever that we do as research, this original work will mean taking existing knowledge and pushing it forward a little bit at a time, right? Contributing to something new, however small that it will be, right? Rely on your potential. This step, others might say that it's very trivial, it is very small, but believe in yourself, move forward, step after the other, little by little. Then you can build upon your potential, and ultimately you will end up in a very good research with a very good research outcome, right? So to be confident, always do some good literature review after you read them. Do a thorough review of what you have done. It will definitely help you identify the gaps in knowledge. It will give you confidence that you are not duplicating what others have done. This is very important. If you are not duplicating, then you are safe. If you are duplicating, then you have to be very careful. I mean, to make yourself certain about that you are not doing anything, you are not repeating, please make sure that you do a proper literature review, right? And also you have to do some critical analysis as well, right? At your level, I know you are all researchers in done research, you have experience in doing research to a certain extent. At your level, I think it's crucial. It's important to demonstrate an ability to critically analyze your data, which means that going beyond the surface and asking yourself, what does this mean? You have to, now, before writing, you have to think yourself, right? Because at your stage, even undergraduate students at their final levels, you need to, this is what your learning process have brought you to what you are here now, right? You should be able to, you need to look beyond the raw data and ask yourself, what does this mean? If you just present raw data, raw observations, it's just recording the research, right? But when you do some critical analysis, you contribute to the real research, right? So the analysis means finding correlations, interpreting patterns in your experimental data or survey data, for example, right? And you need to comparison of your findings with previous studies. This is very important, comparison of your data with previous findings. And then you have to identify uncertainties. This is, again, finding critiques. And then doing a discussion why methods, procedures should be changed, and weighing up factors affecting strategic decisions. And then importantly, critical analysis sometimes very often means synthesizing information from wide range of literature and then putting them together, evidence-based conclusions. And sometimes we call them the discussion part and then the conclusions, right? So this is very important to realize before start writing anything. When you do the discussion part, always try to have all these things put together somewhere. When you do conclusions, I have seen that most of you write, just repeat your observations. You just repeat what you have observed as results, as conclusions. Conclusions are not repetition of your results, right? You have to connect your results. You have to now always try to see whether these correlations, interpretations, comparisons with previous studies, analysis of uncertainties, discussion with why we should proceed with certain circumstances, what factors have affected the decisions, and critical comparison from other sources. If you have all this, at least some of these in your discussion and your conclusions, your scientific writing has fulfilled a certain level. Without this critical analysis, don't ever think of producing a scientific write-up, right? So the literature review, or the literature review that I am referring to is not the literature review chapter that you attach in your thesis. My way of interpreting the literature review is your synthesis of information. How you collect information, interpret it, synthesize it, and put that in the scientific written form, right? You have to always make sure that what you write from past literature is not just a summary, right? Listing articles without synthesis does not count. Please understand that. Right. If I take 10 theses, 8 out of 10 will have just summaries, no interpretation, no connections made, no critiques made, right? And also you have to understand the second point as well. A literature review is not just a summary of sources, right? Listing articles without synthesis does not count. I repeat that. And again, it's not random grouping of unrelated source either, right? They have to be connected, and arguments have to be very clearly described. And then again, literature review is just not only criticisms and comparisons, right? So you have to, it's all about integrating existing research, past research, existing gaps, your way of interpretation of the results, and how you connect that with the past research. All these are very important when you write down your write-up. And what do you mean by a literature review? How do you do it, right? So now we know what literature review is, what is not, but literature review is an integrated analysis. It's not a summary. It has to, it's not a summary, right? So it has an integrated analysis of scholarly writing that are related directly to your research. And then the second, literature review, is an integrated analysis. It will, it's an integrated analysis, and it's not just a summary. And the second bullet point here, you need to look at the background information of your topic and then find correspondence between this your writing and what others have written, and your research question, your objectives, and do a synthesis of the writing, right? So this information will, you have to, your write up should show how your topic fits into existing knowledge, and it has to describe how you contribute to the existing knowledge, how you what you add to the existing knowledge that you call the advancement of existing knowledge, right? So please try to demonstrate a clear connection between past research and your research and your predictions, your postulations, your hypothesis, the future work. Right? And the third, the literature review, it's not connected here. I'll just omit that. So literature review, you have you conduct the search, you evaluate the sources, identify the information, outline your structure, and write down the literature review, which we will discuss later in your literature review part, right? And then you have this literature review. I have already discussed about this. While doing the literature review, you have to we have already discussed this part as well. Now choose your topic properly, and then answer some of these questions, which I will not repeat again. Then once you have chosen the topic, write down the literature to define the research method. The first step is defining your research method is to thoroughly understand the context and the background here, the context and the background. You have to understand how does the problem affect the real world. Is it long, right now, like the explore. Now, what you do is now while doing the literature review, you have to understand the problem, the research problem that you have to understand, and you have to understand the impact of that. How does that affect the real world, right? The gravity of the problem that you are going to solve, right? And then whether this has been a long-term issue or whether it has described recently, right? And what research has already been done? Have any solutions been proposed? And what are the current debates about the problem, right? Now, this context and background is very important for your chapter 1 of your thesis or the first part of your research paper, right? So without describing these things, your scientific writing will not be of proper standards, right? So you have to understand how the problem is placed in the real world, whether it's long-standing, something that has been recently discovered. What is the existing body of research? Talk about this, your problem focus. What has already been done about this research topic in the past? What solutions have been proposed so far? And what is the ongoing debate about the field? And finally, identify what is already known, what remains unclear, what debate is still going on, and then summarize the research gap. And all these other, the introduction part of your research paper or your research proposal or your thesis, right? Depending on what you're writing, the length of this section, the context and background will be different. If your thesis will have about 4 or 5 pages. In your research paper that you submit to a journal, will have just one or two A4 pages, double spaced. If it is a proposal, just half a page would be sufficient. But to do this, you need a lot of time spent on reading, summarizing, synthesizing, and reviewing the literature, right? And then for your introduction part, you need to know more about your problem statement. Now the first part is context and background. The second part of your introduction part would be specificity and relevance. What is meant by these specificity and relevance? you need to narrow down the focus of your research to ensure that your research is specific and relevant to the debate that is going on, right? Ask yourself these 4 questions. The first question is, what specific characteristic, what exact theme or aspect you will focus on, right? To make your research important, right? What aspects that you will be addressing and that you will not be addressing. That is part of your specific characteristic of your writing or your research. And then the second, what aspects will you not be able to tackle? This is also very important because this will give the reader to define the boundaries that you are focusing on. That is very important, right? What aspects that you are not focusing on. And then the consequences of leaving. Now you leave out certain things that you are not doing. Then you have to discuss the consequences of leaving the problem unresolved. Who and what is impacted if the issue continues without intervention, without studying it further, right? And finally, you can consider the stakeholders who will benefit from resolving the problem, right? Who will benefit from finding your research? Could it be academic community, specific industry, policymakers, the society at large, or will it affect the present, the future, whatever it is, right? So this is relevance more than the introduction part. This goes to the discussion part, right? So this is more about the specific focus of your research and then the limitations, and you are trying to interpret the impact of what you are doing to the audience to set the stage for the rest of the work to continue by others, right? So one last slide on this particular section that I'm talking of, doing a proper literature review and then defining the problem statement, aims, objectives. So this is again the repetition of what I have done so far. Now, defining the research problem and question is very important because developing a defined focus of research will be the first step of your study, right? So this will involve certain things, right? You have to narrow down, make sure your research question is not too broad or too narrow. You have to answer this: is it manageable, comprehensible, coherent, and logical? Right? Now take just one example here, right? I have given you an example from what I do as research, impacts of water quality and human health. Now this example here, if you are interested in these 2 aspects, water quality and human health, right? Now as soon as you see this topic, it's very broad in the sense that water quality is a very broad term. Human health is again a very broad term. So to me, this title doesn't mean much. If you're writing a book, yes, then you can do it. Because in a book, you can cover all the aspects of water quality and human health. But if you are doing a research, if you are writing a paper, you have to be more specific, right? Water quality, I would say heavy metals, or nutrient pollution, or pathogens, whatever the specific focus on the water quality, maybe impacts of heavy metals on human health. Now, there are lots of things that you can talk of when it comes to human health, right? Even if you say heavy metals, there are hundreds of heavy metals, right? So rather than having a broad research problem like this, you can have impacts of lead on say brain health, or say impact of lead on the nervous system or something, right? So it's very specific. You are talking of the nervous system when it comes to human health. When it comes to water quality, you are talking of lead in water, right? So you have to narrow down the research topic to a workable title, right? So don't, and again, discuss with your topic your supervisor, because if the supervisor tells you no in the middle of your research, you are stuck. And your seniors and fellow researchers might give you some ideas of defining the topic. And now, when you want to write down these things, as always start with keywords, right? That are related to your question. These will be the foundation for what you are doing, right? So whenever you start your research, always try to start with some keyword search. Right now, this is a short message that I want to give you. In panel 1 here, this person, or you sit with your notes, puzzled. You can see you are puzzled, thinking hard about your research topic. Now, probably this is the research topic, right? You cannot think anything. And what he does is, he turns to Google. He turns to Google and do some research, because he doesn't know, and he is confused. When you are in confusion, your Google is your savior. Probably now ChatGPT might be the savior. Your ever reliable source of knowledge, the internet, the web. You start typing, type. The third panel here, disaster. No results related to your search. Your search returns 0 results, right? You are stuck. Then you are stuck. Now, you think that research, that moment when not even Google knows what you are thinking about, even if the Google doesn't know about what you are talking about, either you can think that the Google is broken, it's not working anymore, or you can think that somebody has not done anything about what you are talking of, right? So when you are in confusion, you have to find certain things, and then this whatever that you find should not make you more puzzled, right? It should give you some clue as to give you some relief, right? So whenever you are you are stuck, try to look for reliable sources of information, right? Now, I don't say Google is not reliable or ChatGPT is not reliable, but always try to look for reliable information, and then try to find answers for your questions. Don't get puzzled more and more by looking at the literature review, right? So doing a literature search, the first you have to identify the keywords, right? So once you have determined about your topic, you have to develop the questions, and you need to go through some keywords, right? How do you find identify the concepts using keywords, and the keywords will guide you to develop a search strategy, right? Key steps to follow while developing your topic. So one of the most effective ways to do the literature search is to define the keywords. The keywords will define the core concepts of your topic, right? These keywords will guide you to find the pertinent or the most relevant literature that will help you to build a solid research strategy, right? So here are some key steps that I have noted down here. First, start by brainstorming the main ideas, key concepts, and then evaluate whether these concepts are too broad or too narrow, right? Too broad topics are, it make you confused. Too narrow topics might not take you anywhere, right? And the fourth here, once you have these key concepts decided, write down a list of terms and acronyms or synonyms, or sorry, not acronyms, synonyms, to define your keywords. And then develop a concept map something like this. The connections that you have for keywords. Here we have a visual representation of the concept map. Each of these colored node represents a keyword. And the connections will give you how the keywords are connected with each other. Because you can use these Boolean operators to connect a couple of keywords, because keyword search will always work when the phrases are long, if you have a couple of keywords combined together using a proper Boolean operator. So you need to know the connections between keywords when it comes to keyword search. This process is very useful when refining your research question to identify the keywords, right? Now, another example is here, a visual tool. Now, this is this is something again a similar diagram, a visual tool from the previous one, but these some text connected with it, right? You have the main research question in the middle, and you branch it to sub ideas. These ideas can be even your objectives, and you can define keywords to describe these main ideas. Sometimes you can put your objectives as main ideas, right? And now this is a concept map. A good example for a concept map. The central question is climate change, right? You can branch them into different concept plans, evidences. Climate change is caused by, it can be managed by, it is caused by human activities and natural processes, such as now human activities, you define them again here, population increases, burning fossil fuels, can be managed by consumer behavior, further scientific research. So likewise, you can go on branching them to a concept node so that you know what keywords that you are talking of and how they are connected with your core concept, right? And connected concepts and minor concepts. And you have, ultimately, you will have keywords put together. Now, the next is a very complicated one that I'm giving here. Now, this I took from one of the PhD theses of a former student. Now, literature review, he has done a bit of a very complicated analysis of his research process, a comprehensive flow chart. Now, he has given some different approaches. Now, his topic was landslide susceptibility and hazard zonation approaches. That is the short form of his title. And now he has broken down that into qualitative approaches, semi-quantitative approaches, and quantitative approaches, right? So that is his first division of the subtitles. And then this qualitative approaches, he has broken that down into distribution or inventory analysis, geomorphic analysis, because he is not interested in that part. He is not going forward in any of these. But here, semi-quantitative analysis, he has gone further to define further other keywords. Now, his approach is more on quantitative approaches. So he is going to break down them into so many other focus areas. And together with that, he has lots of keywords to search for, right? This is a very complicated way of doing it, but still it is very useful when it comes to a further study, right? And now going further, now this is how you come up with the keyword search. You go by Science Direct or say JSTOR or Google Scholar, whatever the search engine that you have, but not Google. You have, even for Google, you can have this. Now you have, now these are the keywords. Now the x-axis represents the number of keywords that you use here, number of keywords, and the y-axis represents the search volume, right? Now you have one keyword here, insurance, and you search for papers. You have very high search volume here because your keyword is not, this has a very low specificity, right? And then you add another word here, health insurance. Now you have a moderate search volume. Because now, whenever you have, say, if this is 10,000 papers, you are not in a position to go through 10,000 papers to see the connection between this and your research. But when you have, say, here 1,000 is much better than 10,000 numbers. But if you further narrow that down into a more specific title and targeted title like health insurance for professional athletes, you will come up with the right number of search volume. Now you are in a position to go through this maybe 50 papers. Then you are in a position to go through the 50 papers because this is more specific to your research, your search, and more specific, highly specific and targeted keyword has brought you to a level where the search volume is low and manageable, right? So you need to have a better combination of keywords so that the search volume is kept to a low level, and then your search numbers, your search volumes are manageable, right? And where to search is another question. Now there are wide variety of research databases that you can search for relevant studies, right? You have the library catalog. When you go to the library, you have all the support there. You can also try others, say the digital databases. The most popular would be the Science Direct, the Scopus, and JSTOR. Depending on the subscription that you have, you can have access to any of these. Some of these databases are very subject specific, but some are not, right? So you have to try searching databases specialized in your field. If you are, say, for example, if you are a medical researcher doing medical research, you have very specialized databases. If you are doing research on agriculture, you have specific databases mainly on agriculture. If you are doing research on, say, econometrics, you have specialized databases to do the literature review based on econometrics, right? And then whenever you have keywords putting together, you can have Boolean operators like and or not. When we do the literature review, I think this literature search and organizing your literature search, you will have a dedicated lecture on this. So you can have Boolean operators like and or not. You need once you have the papers with you after the literature review, read the abstracts, right? If the abstract is interesting for you, go through the bibliography to find out more further sources, and then note that the recurrent citations, the pivotal articles, and then go by those pivotal articles to find more information, right? So you have these databases are very, very popular. Science Direct, which is Elsevier. It has there's papers included in disciplines like science, engineering, medicine, social science. It's very broad, right? So it has a very, very good collection, right? It offers access to full text, peer-reviewed journal papers, mostly from Elsevier journals, but Elsevier journals have about more than 1,000 journals. And this is an excellent source of information for everybody, technical, experimental research, and also to refine your research title to whatever that you want to do. Go and do a Science Direct research, whether you have access to all the papers or not, because the abstract search is free. You can download the abstract, you can read the abstracts, and you have to find other means of looking for the full paper if you're interested in the abstract, right? So always do a Science Direct search rather than a Google search if you ever want to find relevant literature for your research. And then JSTOR is has a collection more related to humanities, arts, social sciences, history, law, those fields. But JS2 has a collection of these journal papers for more than 100 years. Right, it's a very, very comprehensive, but not many on engineering or sciences. Not many journals are included related to engineering and sciences, right? But if you want to find very old journals related to humanities, social sciences, history, law, they have a very good collection. And then Scopus. Scopus is again, it's very multidisciplinary. You have all the STEM fields like science, technology, engineering, mathematics, social sciences, business. And it has a very good abstract and a citation database. If you want to analyze the citations, it has. And also it has no access to full papers in most cases, but it has access to abstracts, right? So reading abstracts should be the first thing that you need to do when you do the literature review. For that, Scopus sometimes has more access to journal papers than Science Direct. Then finally, this Google Scholar. Google Scholar itself is not a database. It's a search engine. It has almost all the fields put together, very multidisciplinary. It's freely accessible to anybody. It's a search engine, in fact. You can find articles, books, conference papers. And it is I think Google Scholar is the best starting point for exploring any topic very broadly, because it's not refined. It has both publications related to refereed articles, non-refereed articles, standard articles, non-very standard articles, everything put together. If you do a Google research, it gives linkages to full papers. It won't give you the full papers, but linkages are there. So for the start of your literature review, I think it's always good to start with Google search. The last part of the presentation, I might take a little more time. Can I have 5 minutes more? I want to drink something. Can you take 5
sir.
minutes and then come back? Now it's 11:13. I will start at 11:18.
11:20, sir. Okay, sir.
11:20. Okay, 7
Okay, sir.
minutes.
Okay, thank you. So I'm Bandhani, that I'm sorry that at the beginning that I was unable to join with you due to technical error. And I was there, but I couldn't talk. And it's good that you are showing so enthusiasm to join with this lecture series. And it's really good, and for especially not only the engineers, but for all of you. And so please share with, if you are a faculty of engineering or the engineer, please share with your all engineering friends, as well as if you are from a faculty of engineering in a local or international, whatever, that it's a very good thing. And I hope that you all, I was unable to give the introduction to Professor Jagat Manatunga while he's away, that I'm giving this, just telling about him that he's a Dean of the Faculty of Engineering, University of Moratuwa, and he's a prestigious researcher. And I think most of you know him. However, that in the next lecture that I'll give you his biography and read it. And the lecture series is the lecture series is having a lecture series means it's a certificate course we are giving at the end of the lecture series. About 16 lectures we are planning to do. Sometimes the titles will be changed. Sometimes and most probably there may be a foreign lecturer also joining with this certificate program. And if you want to get the certificate, of course 80% of participation is important, and later on we will share with you all those details. And the other thing is, actually, if you have any interest, or if you think that we want to have more thing to learn, then you can tell us. And also that please ask only the relevant question to our lecture series. Otherwise, that the time is for all of your time, as Professor Manatunga's time, as well as all others' time. So therefore, I hope that this lecture will be a very fruitful as well as very informative and very important one. So if you have any questions, you can raise now. But since the time is passing and there is another, maybe probably another 15-20 minutes will go for the last part of his lecture, lecture today. And then we can join with him in details in the next lecture. So keep your questions for next lecture if you feel that the time is going a bit faster. Okay. Thank you very much. So if you have any other questions, still join with us. I can answer for you.
But Bandhani, how much time do we have?
Actually, I thought that since we are concerning of your time, that is 2 hours, and if you feel that, I think to a little bit, and then
I will go until 12.
Yes, yeah, it's fine. I'm okay, but if you are not tired, right? Otherwise, we can pass this to the next lecture, Professor Manatunga. Because that the next week and so on.
You didn't have one today, right?
Not today, this is the only one.
Okay.
So we
No.
have the time series, and therefore we can move to the next lecture. And
I'm not doing another lecture, right?
You will
You're
do.
doing another?
Yes, because that is 16 lectures, and especially the literature review. I'm requesting you, of course, in future. Some more that you will talk. Today, that the only instruction part you will do.
I thought I'm doing only this lecture.
Oh no, my God. This engineer, and you are the editor of the engineering transactions and also in the board,
Then
engineer
I
board.
should
And yes, we can stop even. Means you can keep it for another one, and then we can answer for the questions of the people. Professor Manatunga, I'm extremely sorry that there was a technical error and therefore I couldn't talk at the very beginning.
No, it's fine.
And yes, okay, please go ahead. Thank you. How do you feel that are we?
Yeah, now one. There's a question: literature review and literature survey. No, literature review, literature survey is the search that you do. Yeah, you use Google or Science Direct or Scopus, and then you type in your keywords, and that is the survey. Literature review is we will go into details of that the next time. Literature review is you read and then summarize what you read and find connections. That is the review. Review is not complete until you interpret what you read. And there's another, is there a way of getting a way? Would someone register for a research degree too? Yeah, now there are research degrees like research by masters, research, MPhil, PhD. They register for a degree to do research. Satish, is better to stop now and continue with the next session. Now, Kamal's, I can't understand Kamal's question. Can we select a topic by focus and problem in a one company?
Sir, I mean, I have a problem to discuss inside my working company. So can I select the topic by focusing on my company, or that should be a general topic?
Yeah, that's why, Kamal, I said research and development. Now for industrial sector, you might call it research and development. Yes, of course you can focus on the problem because that's why at the very beginning I said this research is all about doing further studies on ideas, projects, models, anything. I mean, even in a company, you might call it as any big company will have a separate division or a section called the research and development section, R&D section, right? So sometimes you might not publish a report or a journal paper or anything, but you will use the research results in your company. Say, for example, the industrial sector, they might not publish papers, but they might do research, they might observe, and they might improve processes, they might improve methodologies. Yeah, I think the research, they're all research. Yes, Kamal, you can do.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Professor, I am Vimal here. I mean, middle of the lecture, I should ask, I try to ask a question. Actually, the research kind of paper is a philosophy. I am trying to develop a kind of a patent or industrial design sort of things. I need a mentor service as well. I mean, how we can approach these two?
Say that again, Vimal.
Product development, basically patent
Okay,
or industrial design
yeah.
kind of thing,
Okay,
and the
right.
research methodology. What we are talking about, the paper. I mean, this lecture, it is about the research paper, no?
Yeah.
Philosophy side.
Yeah, that's why I said now in writing a paper, you need to know about how to do research. That's why the introduction I said how to do research and those kind of things, how to define the boundaries to do the research, because research writing comes very much later. Now, when it comes to research, there are two types of research: applied research and fundamental research. Now, I think as engineers, as an engineer, what you're talking of is something, as also Vimal also mentioned about the company, the problem with the company. There is they are all applied research, right? Applied research, the research problem comes within the company or the end use of that particular process or the industrial application, right? So then you start with the problem. Say, for example, you have industrial process and there's something wrong with the process, and you need to study that and develop it, right? So you have a research the problem is already well identified, right? And then you try to find a solution for that. For that, you have to do some studies. Don't ever think that when you do studies, you just keep on reading. No, you don't have to always keep reading. You just go and look at other processes, right? So they are all now looking at another process. Industrial process itself is you are looking for information, right? It is very similar to sitting in front of your computer, finding a research paper on the internet, visiting another industrial facility, looking at the process, studying it. That is also part of the research process.
Professor, talking about the patent, US patent or industrial design sort of thing, I have a certain degree of developed abstract. So how I can get technical sort of review thing like from a mentor. Do I write to you personally if you give an email? So how we can can you give me idea about that?
To find a mentor for conducting research, is it?
No, product, the patent product, patent.
Yeah, I think the patent, if you are looking at this now I think those who are looking at patents or inventions, I think you have to be careful when you publish papers.
Okay.
Because in Sri Lanka, you have now, if you publish the paper before you get the patent,
okay,
you have to apply for the patent within 1 year after publication of your paper.
Okay.
Because otherwise it becomes part of the public domain. The knowledge becomes part of the public knowledge, and you lose your right to get your patent.
Okay.
But I think in most of European countries, you can't do that either, right? Either you take the patent or you publish the paper.
Okay.
When it comes to patents, you have to be careful.
Okay.
Publishing the paper, and it has a direct.
in University of Moratuwa, can I access or sort of, guidance so I can further discuss and, approach for the patent sort of things? I need
Yeah, I think if you have an idea to say collaboratively, it can be research or whether it can be a product development. If you are thinking of some product development, definitely we have a unit called the enterprise.
Okay.
We are looking at joint collaborations with experts like you all. If you want any help, you please come to the university. I can introduce you to those who are interested in. You can bring in the ideas, and then we can introduce some others to work with you, so that
Okay.
you can jointly develop the products.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor. How can I get the contacts? I mean, I want to visit the university, right?
Yeah. Please visit the university.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Professor.
Yeah. Yeah, and this Mohammed Najib, I'm beginner in academic as a lecturer. Should I want to do the research collaboratively? I think it's for starters, for novice. I think it's always advisable to work in collaboration with some senior researchers, because then you will be guided because you are not then isolated. Please always try to collaborate with somebody and then do the work. Now, I do some review work for journals and conferences. Sometimes we don't encourage single author papers. We always prefer multiple author papers, because collaborative research will yield in more authentic, reliable outcomes than individual authors. When it comes to an individual author, others might not consider that as authentic, because there's no verification to be done when there's only one author for the paper, for the research. Please always try to collaborate with somebody when you do research as beginners. That is my advice. Now this is the next section. But are we going forward? I have about 30 more. Should I go?
You are talking to us, Ane Papa?
එපාද?
Somebody talking Sinhala is for නෑ මේ ළමයා කිව්වා නේ එපා කියලා මේ අපිටද කිව්වේ නැත්නම් යාගේ private talk එක නෙමෙයි වෙන්නේ නැති නේ?
No, I can take this at a different lecture, but I will just show what I want to show. Oh, Suresh?
අපි next එකට යමු මොකද sometimes they be tired because it's really interesting and they were trying their best to absorb what you were talking.
I think the rest I think would be more interesting than the first half of the lecture. I will show you what I wanted to say here now. Useful tips to have focus when conducting the initial literature research and then reading. I think you have to, when you read the articles, I want you to focus on certain things. First is always try to look at some of these adverbs. Right? I want to describe about these adverbs. That is the first thing that I wanted to do. And then I wanted to show some examples, right? How these adverbs can be used in the literature, in the scientific writing, so that there will be a very good impact on the reader. But at this stage, because we are training you to do research, I want you to, when you read papers, I want you to note certain things in a paper. Something like now here, this although this is about limit equilibrium methods. This the importance of using the word although here, which is a conjunction, and then now here towards the end you have this concluded that neither method showed a clear blah 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 blah. So that is something else. And also now at the end you have this however, the meaning of this however, how important to use that particular word however there. As those things are the most important, the use of although and however. I wanted to describe about that. And also here in this also I have many things. There are adverbs and conjunctions. Here you have but, you have therefore here. This however, it's even, however here. Then I think it might take a little time to describe this. Then we will take this in a different. So these are some examples that I want you to, when you read papers, to note down these things. Here also I have many things to highlight. So then I don't know. It's up to you. This might take a little time, and I might need lot of your attention when I go through this section. Then I
Yes,
can.
so shall we go for, shall we go for the next next week? I think I'll talk with you and I'll arrange at the time for, I'll take time from you and I'll circulate to all the
Yeah,
people
because
that
I
we
wanted
can,
to take some written work, and then I wanted to analyze these.
yes.
Imagine.
Yeah, I think that would be the best thing next day
Excuse me,
morning. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I am Gauri Dasan, the irrigation engineer.
Oh, Suresh.
Yeah.
The
Gauri
significant, significance of our research also be included this introductory part of.
And it is, I wanted to describe those things with the use of these examples. Then what I will do is I will combine these slides with the literature review lecture that I do, and then I will conduct this with the literature review, which I can do.
Okay. So next Sunday,
But
sir, or like
I can take these examples for the literature review also, as well as for this purpose.
those are so important. And so shall we move to the next week? Then 6th. It is 6th. Osmantham, if you are free, that we can have that the next lecture and
yeah. Now then just
together.
tell me. These are simple things that I wanted to show. Just so 10 minutes of your time. This is not something that is difficult to listen to. Now, whenever you do literature review, please make sure that there are lots of predatory journals available online. Always avoid these predatory journals. Now, as researchers, I think it's very essential, and you need to ensure that your work is published in a peer-reviewed journal which is credible. Sometimes you will be a victim of predatory journals. That is one thing. Now, we will talk about that later. But again, whenever you do your reading, please avoid downloading papers from these predatory journals. Nowadays, at least 30% of the journals are predatory. Predatory journals, they are the journals where they don't do any refereeing. They just publish as, say, they publish the paper as it is, without any reviewing, without any refining, without any revisions. They charge a little money and they make money, and they do a lot of harm to the scientific community, right? And to find out the names of these predatory journals, it's sometimes so hard to find whether they are predatory or not. Always try to look at this. There's a list called Beall's list, right? Always refer to this Beall's list. I have given you the web link for the Beall's list here. Please refer to these for these bogus publishers, and then journals and the vanity press. Vanity press are the book publishers which publish say substandard books, right? And always avoid those publishers, those journals, those books altogether, and don't ever even think about publishing your papers in these substandard predatory journals and books, right? And predatory journals are, and similarly, the books are referred to as vanity press, right? So we have about 30,000 journals, and about 10,000 are all rubbish,
And conferences also, Professor.
In conferences, I don't ever think of publishing in conferences if you want to count them as publications. And just have a look at these these journal linkages are given. And if you want more information, there's a very beautiful publication published by Interacademics. There's another organization. And also now this thinkchecksubmit.com is an organization which is committed to maintaining the standards and the quality of scientific publications. They suggest the COPE, Committee on Publication, is not the COPE that we have in Sri Lanka. Then the Scholarly Kitchen, LSP, SP, OASPA, DOAJ, COBELS, and Bears list. All these you can see. And also when you visit the thinkchecksubmit.com, they first ask you to think about where to submit and check the source and then submit, right? Their website is also given here. And also this COPE, this Committee on Publication Ethics, they have a list of publications, and also they have it's a list of ethical obligations of the author, the reviewer, and the journal. They maintain, and also the journals are invited to go by their standards. And if a journal is listed under COPE, they are the best journals available, right? And again, plagiarism. Always say no to plagiarism. With ChatGPT around, this is something that is very alarming.
Your slides are not moving, are you? Still in the white region?
Slides moving in.
Okay, yes. Yeah, we haven't seen those.
Yeah, these are the Predator journal links. And this is the publication that you need to. This is the think, check, submit, and they always want you to think where to submit, check the source of publications, and submit, both for book chapters and journals. This web linkages are given here, and this Committee on Publication Ethics. They are committed to educating and supporting editors, publishers, and authors as well. If a journal is listed under COPE, they are very authentic, very good journals. And when it comes to plagiarism, say no to plagiarism at any cost. Avoid plagiarism at any cost. This is not about copying and pasting someone else's work. It includes the structure, data, without proper acknowledgement of others' work. All these are plagiarism, right? So always be honest. Dishonesty, theft, academic misconduct are all cheating, right? So there can be serious consequences for failing to abide by these. For any researcher at any level, please make sure that you don't engage in plagiarism. Always cite sources correctly, use quotation marks, and you make sure that your writing truly reflects your own contribution, your understanding. And always remember originality, integrity, honesty. They are the backbone of academic professionals, and all the success of all the research circles. We believe that others are also very authentic, right? So don't be part of it. Always say no to plagiarism. So that is all what I wanted to say. And there are some things that I wanted to share. And that's all from me now. Then I will take the rest of the presentation on another day.
Thank you so much. And many are asking about the sharing the lecture. Okay,
Yeah,
presentation.
Yes, shall I email that to you, Prasbandhani? Then you can share that with him. Yeah,
ESL and the registered participants will get it. Therefore, please register. And also, if you want to get the certificate end of the day, sometimes they may charge a very nominal fee, maybe 1,000 rupees. So maybe 2,000 rupees, and that's not decided yet because this is a very
So
interactive session.
you will give
Yes.
money to my presentation also, right?
Yes, sir, we will do. Right. And
Professor,
so
that is interesting thing. One thing again, sorry to disturb.
Yeah.
I'm, the motivation behind that intrinsic and extrinsic. You talk about internal and external,
Yeah,
both
that's right.
satisfaction and reward. And
Yeah.
the paper you talk about in the slide is a commercialization. We need the economic part of it to be.
Yeah, I think that is the one I was showing to you. Now this extrinsic motivation is all about tangible benefits that you get. Now, if you are in the industry, for example, you get some tangible benefits. Say, for example, you will get a bonus, right? Or else sometimes your job would be to do something based on this, right? So your job, say security, your promotions in the future, all these might depend on the outcome of what you are doing, right?
Yeah.
So these external factors, they are all included in here.
Yeah. Thank you,
This,
Professor. So I want to share my personal experience and a direct experience as an experienced engineer from Oman. I came to here in the COVID situation. So I work, for a big company. So end of the economic crisis, I got a letter discontinuation. I'll read that part. It is a part of how we can bring the economy to Sri Lanka to share the benefits of all. As an engineer, that is what my intention now to work on the patents and sort of things. So I'll read the sort of part that. You may be aware the construction industry in Sri Lanka has made a serious downturn during the last few months due to prevailing adverse economic situation in the country. As a consequence of this situation, construction work in the most of ongoing projects have been terminated or come to a standstill. As a result, we regret to inform you that your position has become redundant, and as you already aware, presently there is no work to offer and there is no prospect that situation will improve in near future. So now, as an engineer, I learned from the free education, maybe that time 5 or 6 lakhs. So I went to abroad and bring some USDs. So I shared the work here, then economic situation, there is no work to offer. What is for that experience we are sharing, your research and all. So we want to bring the economy to the country and to benefit all the people. That is, my experience on, participation in this lecture. I actually motivated. So self-motivated and the reward side, the commercial side also, we want to think about that. That is the most important thing as an academic professional. That is what I think. That is my personal experience sharing on this.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Thank you very much.
Dissanayake. Yes, thank you very much for your motivation, and I think that this is good for the other researchers also, that the beginners. Yes, Professor. Professor Manatunga?
Sir,
Yes, Suresh. Professor Manatunga.
Let's listen to Suresh. Yes.
Sir, good afternoon, sir. I'm Vikramantu Suresh Dirasinghe from Sri Lanka Air Force. Actually, I did my master's in material science at the University of Moratuwa. I want to highlight this matter because one of my instructors was there. He was Dr. Shant. While he conducting his lecture, always he emphasizing like the most and the biggest issue we are currently facing at the moment. The people like Sri Lanka, we can't access to the journals, the scientific research papers. because of these issues, actually, I also face numerous difficulties regarding when I am doing my research. Actually, sir, I personally believe that we should reach to the current updates as well as current research papers which are going on in the industry, and we should have some access. But I think most of them are limited to ourselves. What we can, what are the actually from the people are working at this field as well as from the university itself, as the pioneer university of the Sri Lanka, what are the steps taken at the moment to gain such kind of accessibility to the things actually, sir?
Yeah, yes, Suresh. That's a good thing that now this year also for 2025, University of Malta, we have got quotations from Science Direct. Now for selection of engineering and science journals, they are charging 800 million rupees for 1 year subscription. Right, and if we remove certain titles, we can bring that down to 600 million rupees.
Okay, sir.
Now, if you talk about Sinhala කියුවොත් කෝටි 80යි කෝටි 60යි නේ.
Yes.
Do we have that amount of money to subscribe to Science Direct?
Actually, it's, not for the particular one, sir, but if actually being a country seeking to rise up for each and every issues that are facing, actually research and development are the most viable and the most important thing we have to consider. So during my research, actually, I will tell my experience. I was doing some research regarding one of the critical failure we are observing with our Bell 212 and 412 helicopters, the twin tap failure. But I don't have any research articles or any sort of thing. Actually, been a pressures to study those things and also to produce to my supervisors as well as to the panel. I face a numerous difficulty if how they will react on this one and whether I will be able to achieve my master's even, sir. So I didn't have any idea how to navigate this my research as well as final viva. All the panels were really appreciated, and they told me like my content was far more than two or three researchers content was there. So I was really happy on that, but still for all I faced that problem. That's why I told you.
Now to overcome this problem, because now we don't have that amount of money to subscribe to Science Direct.
Sure.
We have a very limited subscription for a few, I think for a lesser number of journals, but we have a network of our former students who are working abroad at different universities. They help us by sending these, because some of our students, they regularly contact these our former students who are now working outside. They help us find these papers on the supervisor's behalf.
Yes, sir.
That is one. And again, we have suggested that an institution like the National Science Foundation or the National Research Council or some central location, there should be one of such institutions can subscribe to these databases, and then they can make that available for all the researchers in Sri Lanka, irrespective of the university. But they can't share the links with other universities because this is subscribe based only for one subscriber. But if this is available in the library of the National Science Foundation, for example, anybody can go there and do the literature review. the literature search there.
Mm.
So I think
Yes,
we
sir.
have to go by such an arrangement. But my worry is those who
Okay,
are
sir.
living away from Colombo will still have difficulties. If they have to come to Colombo to do this, again there will be a problem. But for the time
Yeah.
being, I think the way that we survive is by getting help from those who are living outside Sri Lanka in different parts of the world in this the universities.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yes, Professor
Professor,
Manatunga, yeah, we will,
yeah,
we
one more
will,
thing.
who is speaking?
Yes, actually.
Professor, sorry, one more thing to, share my experience also, direct experience. When I work in Oman, I design hospital, sort of,
Yeah, Mr. Dissanayake, wait a moment. I want to make a message. Yes, the person who has speak earlier, that through IESL Publication Division, we will try our best to do some link with the National Science Foundation and try to find out the papers or like whatever the literature you want. So I'll talk with them. Professor Manatunga, that would be better since we
Yeah,
have the engineer
Thank you,
journal
ma'am.
as well
Thank
as the transactions. That let's do something like that. And then if they send a email to the IESL, then through the publication division, we can ask for NSF and getting down and share with our memberships. So we will initiate it. Thank you very much for your question and also your sharing the difficulty. So I hope that that will it's a good initiative even we can have and we can do for our membership. That's really good thing.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
And yes,
Actually,
okay,
I
Suresh.
want to tell that creating such kind of a platform for ourselves, it is a very wonderful because
Yes.
we don't
And
have such kind of thing.
yes.
Thank you.
Suresh, when we have such kind of problem, actually, we are trying to contact our colleagues in abroad, and then we are getting down, and therefore that we couldn't understand. I even that was something may not think of it, and also there are some other way and ways, and we can get it. However, that I'll talk and make this professional path or like a good clear path to get down those things. Thank you very much, Professor Manatunga, also. And so actually, if there are no, somebody is asking about when we are having our next lecture, Professor Manatunga, if you are free, then we can have it on next week, or that it's up to your decision, if so that I can circulate.
Next week?
Next Sunday. Yeah, next Sunday. Sunday would be better,
Sunday
probably.
is okay with me, yes.
Okay,
thank
Professor
you.
Banduni, I will take
Yeah.
the 5 more minutes. I mean, the
No,
ground
no,
level-
Professor Mr. Dissanayake, that's we will share because we will have this lecture series for next time also. That we know that you are a very experienced researcher as well as engineer. So we will give another opportunity to talk to you. And so today I'm going to winding up and thank you so much for our resource person today, Professor Jagath Manatunga, who is the Dean of the Faculty of Engineering.
Thanks.
And you may understand that we should not waste his time. He's having so many other work, and also our all engineers here, engineers or scientists, and so they also are busy with many schedules, and it's going to go to the 12 noon. And so I request Professor Manatunga to be 2 hours, but actually he's so generous to give us 3 hours to us. And also, sir, thank you so much. And I'll give you your biography next time. I think no need to the biography to the Professor Manatunga. Everybody knows that he's the editor of our transactions, as well as in the editorial board of Engineer Journal, as well as his editorial board in the National Science Foundation journal, NSF journal. Is the first journal of having the Scopus Index, or that the Scopus Index in our country, and also the Science Citation Index. And thank you very much, sir, once again. And you are very informative and very interesting. And actually to say that though I know you, that it's kind of untiring. We can listen to you for many hours. That's why students are telling, okay, shall we go more? Okay, thank you so much once again. And it's very very interesting presentation, and I hope that to meet you next week once again at 9 a.m. And I'm requesting our participants, thank you so much. It's nearly 200 participants today, but I know there are more. And so please share the link with them and ask them to register, and you will get more benefits if you register rather than the certificates what you are expecting at the end of this lecture series. And thank you so much for our resource person today, Professor Jagath Manatunga.
I have shared the presentation with you, Professor Banduni.
Okay, thank you very much. And for the registered students, the recording will be shared and ISL will do it very soon. And listen to it once again. I know that I hope that you will get more knowledge once you